Hey there, I'm Tucker and you're watching D&D Daily. Today we're talking about the Revenant, a man cursed to remember. If you want to play the Revenant, first you're going to need to be a path of the Zealot Barbarian, and then second you're going to need the Reborn lineage. The Revenant was a man of large stature, living happily in a farming cottage with his wife, son, and daughter. That is, until the cult of Leviatar came into their happy life. One day, while the Revenant and his son were making the day's journey into town to buy and sell goods, they were ambushed by the cultists of Leviatar. This father and son were captured, beaten, and tortured by these priests of pain. The Revenant begged for them to stop, and they accepted on the terms that the Revenant make a blood vow with their goddess, forfeiting his soul to eternal torment. The Revenant agreed, with the hopes that at least his son would survive and return to his family. The cultists prepared the blood oath, and the deal was made, and the Revenant felt that his soul had been changed. He was no longer his own, but instead he felt that he would live forever in this state of torment. As he felt this dread, the priest killed his son in front of him, and then proceeded to kill and resurrect the Revenant over and over and over. That is, until his life seemed to become a blur. After what seemed like an eternity of death, the Revenant woke up, covered in blood, with the body of his child laying beside him. The Revenant could not remember where he was, what his own name was, or what the name of this boy next to him was, but somehow he knew in his gut that this was his son. He sat there for a moment and wept, holding his boy's body for what seemed like days. At this point, he thought about his wife and daughter, wondering if they were all right, but to his absolute horror, he couldn't remember where his family was, how to get there, or even their names. Now he walks the earth, clinging to the memories of his family, scared of dying again and losing those memories for good, all the while being mocked and tortured by Leviatar. The Revenant has a very spacey personality. Because his memory is not the best, he would often be very confused by the things going on. He would come across almost like an alien to this world. Some things might seem natural to him and he might still understand, but others would come across as completely foreign because he just can't remember them. The Revenant is by his nature a good guy, and he wants to help people. However, a lot of people are intimidated and scared of him simply because he is covered in scars. The Revenant also is going to come across as somebody who lives in torment. He is honestly always tormented by the memory of his family. He is cursed to remember, and forgetting everything else doesn't bother him as much, but remembering what he does tears him to pieces, because what he remembers is useless to him in finding his family. In combat, the Revenant is going to use a Great Axe. This is because of his 9th level feature as a barbarian of Brutal Critical. Whenever you get a critical, you get to add 1 additional die of damage. So for a d12 is going to be much better than adding 1d6 compared to the Greatsword. He is also going to really rely upon his Divine Fury, which is going to do an extra d6 on the first person he hits on each of his turns. Really, his tactics are very simple. Just like any barbarian, he's going to run up and smack as hard as he can. Out of combat, the Revenant is strong. He is going to be the party's muscle, so he can lift, break, smash, push. He can do whatever he needs to if it relies on his muscles, and he's going to be very good at it. He also is going to be good at a lot of different skills, not because he gets a lot of proficiencies, but because of his reborn trait, knowledge from a past life. With this, a number of times equal to his proficiency bonus per day, he can add a d6 to his skill check right after he sees the number on the d20. This doesn't make him great at a lot of skills, but it allows him that extra boost in a couple of skills each day. This trait, knowledge of a past life, is also really flexible because it isn't just traits that he's already proficient in, but any trait. He can really use it in any situation that the party needs him to. In the Revenant's downtime, he would be looking for traces of his family, though he really remembers next to nothing. He would also be looking for ways to restore his memory, either through finding mementos, talking to people, or making deals with Leviatar to restore his memory. An interesting thing for a DM could be for Leviatar to give him slivers of his memories back to him, but not memories that can help him find his family. Just the memories to cause more pain to the man. Another interesting twist that a DM might throw in is, though as a player or an NPC the Revenant is looking for his family, because he's pretty much undying, his family could be dead for hundreds of years, but all he remembers is the faint memory that he has a family. The key mechanics of the Revenant start out with his reborn traits. The main one is Faded Memories, which each time he dies, he is going to lose his memories, and then each time he does a rest or does an action, he can get an image or a picture of his past life in his mind. And this is really going to be a strong role-playing opportunity for the DM and the player to work together on. And his reborn traits give him his deathless nature, which gives him a couple cool abilities, such as he gets advantage against saving throws against being poisoned or disease. He has advantage on death saving throws. He doesn't need to drink, breathe, or eat, and he doesn't need to sleep, and magic can't put him to sleep. And whenever he does a rest, he can finish a long rest in 4 hours if he spends those 4 hours in a meditative state. And finally, it gives him resistance to poison damage. All of these things together they're all pretty little things, but added up together, they're a great trait for the Reborn. When talking about feats for the Revenant, it's mainly going to be that he needs to max out his strength and constitution first. However, tough, great weapon mastery, slasher, and savage attacker all sound like good feats for him after that. Like most barbarians, the Revenant is going to be weak at ranged combat, with really his only option being javelins or something like throwing hammers. Just not really that good of options. And second is his mental saves. He's going to be pretty bad at wisdom, intelligence, and charisma saves because he's a strength and con character, and dex would be his third stat. I think this is well reflected in his tortured and messed up mind. He would be weak at mental saves, and I think that just makes sense. As an NPC, I would use the Revenant as a wanderer character that the party gets to interact with. He would just be wandering around looking for his family, trying to find clues of them, and I would have him be more of a prevalent NPC that has completely lost his memory, except for the slivers of his family. However, the party can learn about his past from others that knew him before he lost his memories, or they can help him find out about his past. I think this would be a great opportunity for the DM to play with the party in that they keep running into him, and this Revenant keeps introducing himself. He has no memory of the party. And as we mentioned before, a nice twist to this could be his family has been dead for centuries, but every time he dies, he resets in his information. So he keeps looking for them over and over and over. And he might have found out this secret many times, but as he dies, he forgets and has to relearn that information over and over. Another cool use of this character as an NPC is if one of your players played the Revenant during your campaign. If they die and were unable to be brought back, maybe somewhere down the road they were brought back and they meet this Revenant, just wandering around, still trying to live out his life. I think the key note for the Revenant is tragedy. He lives in tragedy, he lives in torture, he lives in hell, and no matter what he does, that tragedy is going to continue. It is a true tragedy in that whatever happens, he cannot escape this. How would you use the Revenant in one of your games? What would you do to make him better or more flavorful? Let us know in the comments. And on the next episode of D&D Flavor Builds, we're going to be talking about the magic machine gun. So hit that subscribe button because you're not going to want to miss it. Thanks!